Friends, good evening and welcome to the third annual and first ever virtual Around the Table Gala with World Relief Spokane. Tonight is about one thing: hope. World Relief's mission is to empower the local church and community to serve the most vulnerable and to empower the most vulnerable to thrive in the local community. This work of empowerment assumes a foundational commitment to hope. It also produces a tremendous and contagious amount of hope that spreads far and wide. Tonight we are going to celebrate that hope that has been realized all around us. We're going to celebrate more than 10,000 refugees who have found a flourishing new life here in the inland Northwest. We're going to celebrate hundreds who've been kept afloat during the economic devastation of the pandemic in 2020 through the generous and sacrificial support of their neighbors, like you. And we're going to celebrate the ways that immigrants add a richness and flavor and integrity to our community that would be lacking without them. Tonight, we're also going to invest in hope. We're going to renew our collective commitment to giving hope to the next 10,000 refugees that World Relief Spokane resettles here in the years to come. And that starts in 2 days with a family of 5 that's going to be arriving here as refugees from Moldova. We're going to pray for God's blessing upon us, upon our neighbors, and upon all those who are in dangerous and destitute situations around the world, struggling to maintain hope. And we're going to give financially to provide housing, jobs, legal support, volunteer support, education, and hope to those among us who are the most vulnerable. Hope is a team sport. We cultivate it together. We share it communally. Tonight, we are not just celebrating an institution or giving money to an organization. We are giving ourselves to a movement. It's a movement thousands strong, made of men, women, and children who believe that the American dream is still alive and well, who believe that there is still an American understanding that we can be proud of, regardless of our creeds or our tribes. This is a movement that includes World Relief staff, but also volunteers and donors, former refugees, businesses, elected officials, other local nonprofits, and faith communities who all believe that hope is worth fighting for. It is a movement of people from a wide spectrum of religious views and some who don't claim to be part of any particular religious persuasion, who believe that loving our neighbors is our highest calling. For me, as a follower of Jesus, tonight reminds me that my greatest hope, the story of Jesus and his birth at Christmas time, is also a refugee story. A story that I can both celebrate and embody and emulate as I seek to serve and to learn from the refugees and other immigrants in our communities. Finally, everyone I've talked to lately has told me that they are struggling. As COVID grinds on, we are all starved for hope. I believe that tonight is going to be a moment of respite, where we can be renewed in our hope that better days are yet ahead, and that history always eventually bends back towards truth and goodness and hope. Before we move into the rest of our time together tonight, I just want to thank a few important key people who have made this night possible. First, I want to thank all of our event sponsors. I want to thank the donors who generously contributed to a matching gift that you're going to hear about later tonight. And I'd like to thank all of the virtual table hosts. I also want to give a special thank you to our community sponsor, KL Manufacturing, to our storytelling sponsor, Rogue Heart Media, who helped produce some of the great stories that you're going to hear tonight, and especially to our title sponsors, which is a joint sponsorship between American Ironworks and Erectors and Sub HQ. I'm so glad that you're with us tonight, and I'm so glad for what we're about to experience. Friends, Welcome Around the Table.
Okay, so my name is Bushra Ashalah. I am from Iraq. I have arrived to United States November 7th, I believe, 2014. The first moment I got shocked. It was so snowy and then cold, and then I just came from very, very hot country. We had really good life when we were in Iraq. So my husband had 2 companies for construction, a restaurant. You know, I never drive. I'm not care about money. I'm not care about everything. The only thing that I care about like having happy life, safe life. Yeah, I have 4 girls, 1 boy. Mohammed, he's my boy.
Every time I do this,
They were not safe when we were back there. My husband was a vendor. He was providing the United States Army some staff for their basic when they start building their basic there. So some bad people, they killed his 2 brothers because of this, because they think we're helping strange people to take our country. And then, you know, this is like a very, very strange and then weird story, because they're killed us, they're hurt us, they're doing so much bad things for us, and then they're saying we're protecting you. After that, they start threatening my husband and then my kids. So they just blew up our car, our restaurant. At that time, I cried a lot because it wasn't easy. Because it's a big risk to stay there, and then a big challenge to come here, because we know nothing about this country. You know, we know nothing about you. I'm so thankful for this country, because they're having me and my kids. They're giving me so much opportunity to be happy and safe.
This is the most important things. I just want to get it with me here. They just remember me my whole life. And this ring is about 100-something year old, so I love this one. And yeah.
We didn't have any time to sell our house, our cars, nothing. So we just moved here with our suitcase. That's it. And then we start here from zero.
The picture is very, very important for myself, because the happy moments. Yeah, no difference between 20 years and now. Just
your bully.
Yeah, that's what I guess.
When I first came, I have non-English. I studied English for 16 years, but for listening, to understand what the people saying, it was so hard. I really miss my parents, my siblings, but I'm just looking for a good future for my kids. So this is something kind of convinced me to stay here and then keep fighting to get a good life.
80 million people around the globe have been forced to leave their homes due to violence, war, and persecution. That's 44,000 new displaced people every day. This is the greatest humanitarian crisis of our time. And these aren't just numbers, they're faces, they're families. They are our neighbors. At World Belief, we believe when the most vulnerable come to flourish, we all flourish. Here in Spokane, we've been empowering refugees and other immigrants to thrive for 30 years. More than 10,000 refugees from over 50 countries have come to call Spokane home through World Belief. They've brought their businesses, talents, and stories that enrich our community and make our city a more welcoming place. Last year, 151 new refugees were resettled to Spokane, finding peace they haven't known in years. 409 people received legal help, 115 were sworn in as U.S. citizens and voted for the first time in November. But sometimes obstacles emerge even here in America. We've all been rocked this year by the COVID-19 pandemic, and Spokane's immigrant communities have been hit disproportionately hard. Cultural newcomers are always more vulnerable than the rest of us. In March, World Relief launched a rapid response plan to help these communities through the crisis. World Relief staff began calling through a list of 600 families, connecting them to community resources and offering direct help. As community members gave generously and volunteers took on new roles, we were able to bridge the gap, providing emergency funding to 35 families who were unable to pay rent or other urgent expenses. World Relief Spokane employment staff and volunteers also helped more than 146 people find new jobs or access unemployment support. 5 of those jobs were women from the refugee community, who we empowered to support their families by sewing masks for Spokane with donated fabric and sewing machines. These women have made more than 3,400 masks, which have been given to churches, nonprofits, and community members across the region. As the pandemic snowballed, World Relief Spokane reached out to trusted leaders from local refugee and immigrant communities to form a team of community ambassadors. Since June, the community ambassadors have distributed food to more than 1,200 families and have provided education about COVID and personal protective equipment to thousands of immigrants and former refugees in our city. World Relief has been at the forefront of standing up and speaking out for the vulnerable. Together with hundreds of volunteers and thousands of friends on social media, we are making sure that the stories told in our community include the value of our immigrant friends and neighbors. From meetings with our congresswoman, our mayor, our city council members, and our county commissioners, to stories published in the Spokesman, Inlander, Wall Street Journal, USA Today, the Washington Post, and local television, World Relief Spokane is sounding a clear call for our city and our nation to stand with those who are vulnerable. Spokane is a growing multicultural community. As we continue to stand together, we will continue to flourish together.
I just felt like I am a deaf in a big, big party. You know what I mean? Like, whatever they're saying, I can't understand. And then I don't want to keep asking, what does that mean? What did they say? This is like, it's not me. So many times I told my husband, I'm not going to be out anymore. This is so embarrassing for me. And then after that, I just realized I need to do something. So I started go to school. I graduate from school. And then after that, I started look for a job. And then I got a job. After that, I got I start work on myself to get better and better. And then now I am here and then I'm speaking not very perfect English, but I'm trying. And then I love my job. I really enjoy what I'm doing.
I just want to be really proud of our country today. This nation has weathered some pretty nasty storms in the past, and today is really a day to be hopeful and being reminded of what a great country this is, especially when it's at its best, when people are out voting and advocating. So have some donuts, have some coffee. I hope that this is renewing for all of us, because every one of us has worked so hard and sacrificed so much the last 6 or 8 months.
Bushra and Ahmed had been, and all the kids, they were resettled like a fair amount of time before I started at World Relief. So, because Bushra interprets here at World Relief. And I worked with a ton of Arabic speaking clients when I first started. I feel like that was like, looking back on it, it was like 80% of my caseload. I was like, I'm so out of my league here. And she was just like so gracious and patient, and was also always willing to give me guidance. And I think that was something that just made me feel so comfortable.
World Relief, they're always giving advices, you know. So I really like their job, and then I was really interested to be part of them. Even now they're closed, but they keep doing their job by the phone and then like a Zoom or wherever. I appreciate what they did for me and then my kids, and then for all other refugees, not just for me, and then for all other nationality. not just for my nationality. Because I am from Iraq, but the government for my country, they're not giving me anything. They're not even respect me like as a human being. To be honest, when I first came here, my first dream was to be citizenship, just because I want to vote. I want to do something. I really couldn't do it in my country. When I passed the test, I had really big party. I was so happy. Like, I don't know why, but I felt I did something really important, really great. I really want to do it, and then I did it. I voted, me and then my husband and then my daughter, the oldest. It's something really good to be part of this country, not being here just to keep asking for help. I don't like that way. I want to be independent person. I want to do my things.
بهذا البرنامج للسنة الجديدة يعني
We just
تحديث
made it, and then I'm so proud we made it, and then we're now me and my husband, we're teaching people how to do it and then how to be independent. So this is I really like that, and then I'm so proud of that. Just because we are Muslims, some people they're thinking we are bad people, or might be we're gonna do something bad. So many people, they just told me, why you're here? Go back to your country. And then for me, this is my country. I am working as you work. I'm paying my taxes exactly like you. I'm doing, like I have a right, and then I have responsibility exactly like you. So this is like something, yeah. This is the only thing, to be honest. But most things they're really good. They treat people like equally.
When I came here with my mom, we weren't familiar with a lot of resources that were available to us, and so there was a lot of figuring out on our part, you know, who to ask questions, where to go. So I decided to become a volunteer and help others. I wanted to become that person, that resource for others who come here from different countries, you know, the newly arrived immigrants and refugees. I think when I researched the actual organization, what stood out to me is the role of the cultural companion, because it's a combination of many things. You know, you become a friend to them, you become someone that they can lean on. You can also share your cultural values with them and learn about theirs. When I saw the word cultural companion, I was like, yes, I want to be that person. I want to be that resource who helps others, because I know how hard it is, because I've been there myself. So, for example, I was working with one refugee about a year ago, and she was practicing to take her driving test. So beside from just, you know, actually driving the car and learning how to drive, I wanted to make sure that she was familiar with the vocabulary that might be presented during the actual exam. Simple phrases such as, you know, pull over or put on a blinker. For a native speaker, those words or phrases are pretty common, but for someone who came here from a different country, they might not make any sense. I do encourage everyone who is interested in any way to become a cultural companion and work closely with immigrants and refugees who come here and who need help. It's a very valuable experience, like nothing else you've ever experienced before. And, you know, to be able to share the cultures, cultural norms and values is very important in our modern world, and that's something that we have to, you know, come together and experience.
Okay, so when I first got here, I felt like I want to go back, to be honest. But after 2 years, I went for a visit, and then I came back and realized that here is actually my home. First 2 years were very hard for me when I got here, because it's just so different for me to learn what I have already newly learned. I went to North Central High School and I loved it there, really. It's just, that school made me feel even more excited to graduate, go to college, start with the pre-med, and I really wanted it to be in a good college so my family is proud, and I made it. And I'm just so happy I am at Worth and I am here. I think it couldn't be any better. I really love how I have a mix of both cultures because I think that having both of them in one person is a great thing.
Bushra and Ahmed and all of the kids, like they're like the essence of what it looks like to be a loving person. They're just amazing.
I still play basketball. I still play soccer, kind of. I play hockey. I do a lot.
It is really hard to learn new things, culture and other stuff. Also at school, ways to get around it and stuff. That was really hard.
Just hope they know that it's okay to ask us questions and it's not a desert there, it's just like here, but different.
Like the people that helped us, they did a lot for us. They gave us what we needed. At first we lived with them, then we moved to on a apartment, then a house, then another house, and here.
I am in love with that house. It's so big. I have like a really backyard, front yard. I'm so proud because we still have the kids living in the same level what we had.
So this time we were shopping one day and my dad came holding it and it says, "This is us, our life, our story, our home." And that just meant a lot to us because we've came over a lot of things and we all started tearing up and my mom started crying and said that we did it and we came, like, we're now so happy and we're all together in our best shapes. My mom and father, what they have done for us is something that's very big, I would say. Something that makes me more stubborn to reach my goal, to prove that what they did for us is worth it. They changed their life in one day, literally one day, left everything behind and came here just for our future, just for our goods. We get more goods of this journey than they do. And having them sacrificing living with their family, leaving their jobs, our home, is a very big thing for me. Sometimes I get to be so tired of school. I just remember my parents' sacrifice and keep going and overcome the obstacles that are in my way because I know I have to just make them feel proud, just like how they made me feel proud of them and changed my life in general.
I think all parents, they're the same. I'm praying all day, all the time, for them to get really good life, good future, and then happy life.
Nurturing any person, regardless even of their age, is important. And so if we can be able to nurture our youth, we can give them courage and strength to push through even the difficult things that may come in the future. And I think that we have the ability to make a difference in their life, and then from there they have the ability to make a difference in those who are coming after them. And so it's important that we mentor them. It's important that we guide them. It's important that we give them resources and find ways for them to be able to excel in their gifts and also their ways of understanding how life works. My role here is to help them navigate being active, and finding people that kind of share the same common goals. I lead a small African youth choir. We're trying to broaden that so that everybody can participate, and it's been just exceptional, to see how youth grow. And it could be something small as, being the shy person of the group when they start, and then later on becoming the person who actually leads the practice or leads songs and things like that. But it's been something that, an instrument that allows the youth to kind of express their emotions, you know, if there's fear, if there's anger, if there's stress or depression or whatnot. A lot of them would, you know, use that as a way of kind of a scapegoat to be able to function. And we have a favorite song that we kind of it's like our theme song, and it's "I'm Not Forgotten." So we try to make it a way to kind of be able to encourage our community and help them understand that regardless of the difficulties, regardless of the situations, the finance issues, the stress, the depression, that they're not forgotten. That number one, God hasn't forgotten them, God knows them by name, and also World Relief community hasn't forgotten them. And so we try to make sure that we incorporate that in ways that could make sense to them.
We get the chance to serve a lot of people here in Spokane. It's been pretty awesome. Each group looks pretty different. Each community has different needs. The women's support and like the mental health support groups have just, I mean, they were birthed out of lots of crises. I mean, lots of our clients here at World Relief have experienced things that no person could ever like imagine, which builds like such a resilience and such a strength. But they're even behind that resilience and strength, like there is a lot of hurt. We are seeing that mental and emotional health were an area that needed some specific treatment and just specific attention to. It needed to be its own area. So we thought we'd start with the women's support groups. And I mean, I'm not only teaching, I'm getting to learn lots of new concepts too. So it's just been, I've really enjoyed getting to be part of the women's support groups. And I think a super cool moment for me too was like lots of the women sharing this with their husbands too, and them wanting groups. So I'm like, oh wow, this is not something that I would have thought would have matriculated from this. But it's just proof that when you provide a good service, like people want to be a part of that. And I'm excited to see where it goes from here. So.
My job is to help people that move to the United States not knowing the language, not knowing the culture, and often have few transferable job skills. We help find them jobs. And we also do job training, which is always an adventure when you're working with different languages and different cultures. It is a crazy, wild job. I've never done anything like it before in my life, and I love it. WEAVE stands for Women Empowered to Achieve Vocational Enrichment. And the whole idea was to empower women and help them gain job skills. We teach them the soft skills of being a good employee in the United States, and that is just, it's so much fun. World Relief started WEAVE in May of 2019, so it was just about a year before COVID started, and we got a good year of traction in there and served about 30 women, and then everything fell apart. So we've got some ladies that are out there ready to sew, to start a business sewing even. We want to bring women together, give them something to do that women love and that adds value to their lives. So they get to come, use sewing machines, learn how to use something mechanical and even do repairs on machines, and make things that they can actually take home and show off. And one of the reasons we established this program is for that social connection. We wanted women to connect with other women and build the relationships that just give women confidence. And it's a lot about job skills, but a lot of being successful is also about just having self-confidence and knowing that you belong somewhere. And so that was the bigger goal for WEAVE, is to create a place where they could come and just feel like they belong and learn how to be American women, interact with American women. And we absolutely want them to keep their culture, because their cultures enrich us so much. So it's that, again, I think about the WEAVE name, and it's about that weaving women together in every way.
We'd like to see the choir grow. We'd like to see the youth program grow. We'd like to see more kids being involved once this whole COVID thing is gone. And that's only going to happen with the help of our community partners and people having the heart to step forward into that position of whether it's financial support, whether it's volunteers, things like that.
I wish people could just see every day at work for me. I hear people talk about, like, oh, going to work today was such a drag, or it was such a bummer. And that's just never how I feel here. Like, I get to work and serve the most unique people in the world who have experienced, both tragedy and great joy in different ways than I have ever experienced.
So here's what I'd like everyone to know about what we do at World Relief. My heart breaks when I think about the millions of people around the world who will lay their head down tonight on dirt or in the rubble of a city where they once had a beautiful home and now it's devastated. My heart breaks for them. We have so much, and there are millions and millions of people who have each other, and that's all they know for sure they have today. And I think I just want Americans to understand that what World Relief does is really important because it teaches us to give to someone not knowing. We don't know who they are, and I don't think there's anything better that a human can learn than to be generous with their fellow human being.
A big and beautiful thing about working with the refugee and immigrant community too is that there are lots of big dreams. I mean, these are people who are highly motivated to make better lives, not just for themselves and not just for their families, but for everybody around them. And I think that's just a cool thing to be a part of. And that's not something that maybe everybody gets to hear all the time. And yeah, so I wish everybody could see that. And
Hello, I'm Kalai Chalk at KHQ, and I'm so excited to be part of this event and to talk again about World Relief, such a wonderful organization that helps wonderful people from around the world. This year I was lucky enough to meet Tulia and her daughter Bija and hear their story about how they ended up in Spokane and what they're doing now to help others. It was so inspiring. It's a gift to be able to do what I do so that I can meet people like Tulia and Bija. And also, I just have to add that it's a gift to see World Relief do such wonderful things for others. The thread that binds this mother and daughter is strong.
I love it so much because when I saw with my mom, it's not only with my mom, my dad helps too.
I started to learn when I was young, like 17 years old.
Sewing connects Tulia Nyota and her daughter Bija. You could pin that connection to a story that starts in Central Africa. That's when Tulia's life was upturned by civil war in Congo.
When war starts, we just leave our country to run, to save our life.
Tulia and her husband spent years searching for safety. Bija knows the stories.
I remember one incident, they say the boat sank and they had to swim with the two kids.
Eventually, the family landed in South Africa, but life wasn't easy for refugees there.
You can't walk with your phone or money in a pocket, or chain, or hearing.
If you're a refugee, they're going to take that away.
If you wear a Congolese style, they come behind you and
they might stab you and stuff like that.
After 14 years in South Africa, Tulia, her husband, and their 6 kids were granted resettlement in Spokane. So you felt peace when you came to Spokane?
Yeah. I was sleeping like a small baby who born today.
The family has spent the last 5 years threading their lives back together. Thankful for what Spokane has given them, they're giving back, sewing masks. Tulia is joining other refugees in Spokane at World Relief.
They make 100 at a time, and one lady has made over 1,000 masks.
They've made thousands of masks for nonprofits in Spokane, like Catholic Charities and SNAP, masks for people who are homeless.
In our own little corner of the world, these ladies have made a really big difference because we know that people that we've given the masks to, they don't have another way to get them. It's something that they can do that if they weren't doing, it wouldn't happen.
And now they've even sent masks to Ethiopia. Women from across the globe, whose lives were spared,
are helping save others in this global pandemic.
It is my privilege to encourage you to donate to the ministry of World Relief. I consider this a worthy organization to be recipients of our generosity. As you know, much of the social good that's done in the United States is done through what used to be called voluntary societies and now are called nonprofits, the majority of which were founded by Christians and are devoted to serving the least of these in our society. God is the one who teaches us what generosity is. Jesus said that God makes the sun rise on the evil and on the good and sends rain on the just and on the unjust. God is generous, Jesus says, with all people, but not to an equal degree. He calls us to join him as partners in demonstrating that same kind of generosity so that those who have little will be given more and those who have much will sacrifice some of what they have, so that in the end, as the Apostle Paul says, all will become equal. As you know, World Relief focuses on concern for refugees and immigrants, what the Old Testament called sojourners. Just today, I had an encounter with a former refugee, now living in the United States here in Spokane, who started a church for the Karens, a group of people from Burma. And they're going to be working cooperatively with Whitworth in the Office of Church Engagement to help develop the ministry of that particular church. Well, this is one of literally thousands of examples of the way that the Spokane community cares for this particular group of people who have such high needs. All nonprofits use volunteers, and all nonprofits have to raise money. It's our privilege to give to the important work of World Relief here in Spokane. Amazingly, there have been a group of people who have stepped forward to offer a matching grant, which means that all gifts given at this event, as well as monthly in the year 2021, are going to be able to be matched by this group of generous donors. My wife, Patricia, and I are deeply committed to the work of World Relief. We've given yearly. Now we've decided to donate monthly and to increase our donation because we believe we're fulfilling the command of the Old Testament to care for the least of these, to care for the sojourner. It's our privilege to do this. Please join me and a host of other people in giving generously to the ministry of World Relief. Thank you so much.
Thank you for supporting World Relief. With your help, we're feeding the community, especially our refugees and immigrants. Thank you very much.
Thank you, church partners. You are the heart and soul of our work. Thank you for standing with refugees and immigrants in our community. You have made Spokane such a welcoming place. We thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Friends, what a gift it has been to be together tonight. I hope this has been as good for your heart as it has been for mine. So wonderful to celebrate and to partake in this work together. If you haven't had a chance to give yet and you're still wondering how to do that, for those of you who are mailed an event packet, there is a giving envelope in there that you can put a gift in and mail it to the World Relief Spokane office. Or if you'd like to give online, there's a giving link on your printed materials. Or if you're just viewing this online and you're looking at the web page, the YouTube page, there is a link on that web page you can click to go to a secure online giving platform. Thank you so much for those of you who have given. Thank you to everyone who's participated in this movement. I want to say a special thank you again to our title sponsors, American Ironworks and Erectors and Sub HQ, for underwriting the event tonight. Appreciate that so much. And thank you to every one of you who has volunteered, who has donated, who has prayed, who has just taken a little extra effort to reach out to somebody and to create a welcoming community with a smile or a greeting. We're so grateful for you. I also want to say a special thank you tonight to my team at World Relief. You guys are awesome, especially our church and community engagement team who's worked so hard to make this event a transition from in-person to virtual. You guys are amazing. A special thanks to Catherine and Brielle. Also thanks to North Church, through whose video lens I am coming to you tonight. Thank you so much for that. Finally, we're going to end our evening with a prayer. We're going to pray for our refugee community. We're going to pray for our Spokane community. And we're going to pray for those who we hope one day will be able to make the journey from difficult and dangerous places abroad to finding a welcoming home and presence here in the welcoming community that we are investing in and building for in the future. Those who you're about to hear pray are folks themselves who have walked the journey of immigration, some as refugees, and who are leaders in our community, leaders of their own faith communities. So friends, thank you again for being part of this. God bless you, and good night.
Baba yetu uliye mbinguni,
santificado sea tu nombre.
Que ta volonté soit faite sur la terre comme au ciel.
Хлеб наш насущный дай нам на каждый день.
Y perdona nuestras deudas.
Kama tunavyoyasamehe waliotukosea. Mais délivre-nous du mal.
Ибо Твое есть царство, и сила, и слава во веки.
Amen, amen.
Amén.
Amen, amen.
Аминь.